Hi, it's David in the Stained Glass Studio. Today I'm doing a pattern for stained glass work. I've already drawn it out with a pencil. Now I'm going to highlight it. The reason I'm doing this is because I've got to, first of all, this is the template that a contractor made for a window, and it fits just right onto here. And the next one that I'm going to do is almost exactly the same size. Now, when I'm doing this type of work, it's very difficult to draw it in AutoCAD. In order to get this arc right here, I would have to find the center of the arc. I would have to have a string that would go way out and then get up to that arc and be able to, and then I take the measurement of the arc and put it in the computer. Well, that's very difficult, and so what I do instead, I have traced it around using this template. So now what I did was I traced the top, the bottom, and the sides, and then I've taken off about 1/8 of an inch on the side, the bottom, and this side. Actually, it's more like 1/4 of an inch here, and that's because I'm taking off an 1/8 of an inch off this side and 1/8 of an inch off this side, but I wanted to use this line. I didn't want to have to freehand it, so what I'm doing is I'm taking 2/8. Okay, so now that I've got this drawn out, the next thing I do is I take a Sharpie pen . And I draw right around it, see? And that'll give me a good little extra when I'm cutting it out on the pattern. This is something that's you gotta really work at to keep it from slipping on you as you're tracing. Slip there. This is so that all these pieces, the bevel cluster traced around. Now see, when I cut this out on the pattern piece, I won't need these, and so what I'll probably do is I will I'll cut around the outside edge, and that'll just come out as one piece. Then I'll have these pieces that are the, what do you call that, Jeannie? The outer perimeter. Yeah. And that's the harder
empty space.
One thing I wanted to point out, I have to think for a second as I'm doing this, trying to get that, just trying. Now if you'll notice here, I've got these pieces offset from the pieces up above. See, so that this break goes here, then here, then here. And that makes the whole thing stronger so that there's not just one break all the way through the whole window that lines up. And that way you get a little more flex or less flex in the design itself, and that gives you a better strength for the pattern that you're going for. All right, so I'm going to get this drawn in place. I will use this piece to get these three arched lines. So I'll be tracing on it. Maybe I better show you how I'm going to do that, because there is a trick to that. See, I can put this one on there, and on the very top one, this arch will follow this line all the way over. But then when I pull this down, you see it hits here and here on this end, but you see it doesn't hit in the middle here. So what I have to do is pull it up, only trace from here to here, then I measure to here, and that gets it. And so you have to sort of deform the bottom part of the arc. See how it keeps changing. Now that, you might remember that if you've ever seen one of those kids' magic tricks where they show how three arcs don't line up. It makes it look like it's an optical illusion that makes it look like one is longer than the other for when they. in order to make a pattern for this, I need to put two pieces of poster board together. Now, what I like to do, there's a shiny side and a dull side. And I like to tape on the shiny side. So, I'll do that. Now what that does for me is that when I turn it over, now the dull side will accept the carbon paper pattern. So what I have to do first is slide my pattern board in. Okay. Now I'm using new carbon paper, because it does get a little bit wrinkly and used over time. Okay. Now, if you notice, this will go and cover the entire area that I need, but I don't want these edges to be inside here. We want them to be clear out here so that it transfers over very well. Now, when you put your carbon paper down, make sure and turn it so that the carbon side is down. That's happened where we've put it upside down, and then you end up with it on
doing it again
on here on this side. So you say, "Oh nuts!" Okay, so now we're going to trace it, but I need to put some nails down because we don't want this to shift at all. One of the things that I'm not able to show you is that when I traced here, I ran over to here on this spot. And I shot a video of it, but I couldn't get it off my other camera. So, but anyhow, what I did was I took some white out, and I just wiped that out. That is a good idea. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm tracing it, but I might accidentally forget and draw it in the wrong place again. So I don't want to do that on my pattern piece. All right, so I take 4 nails. And one thing you'd want to make sure is that your pattern board is underneath here. Like there have been times where you maybe have shifted it over, and then I don't end up with getting the pattern where I need it. Now, observe this pencil. See how it's not very sharp? You don't want a sharp pencil for this part of it. And I think I'll start right here in. We'll start here with this cluster, and you see how I draw. I go back and forth quite a bit. Now what I'm going to do here is just go around this outside edge. Then once I get to here, I turn and go down. When we're done, we'll cut this out and we won't need all the detail of that bevel cluster. So that's why I'm not worried about putting it in. This going back and forth, I call it a scrubbing motion. A couple of our stained glass students heard us talking about doing a scrubbing motion, and and that's what they call it. They call it scrubbing. So you got to be careful what you call something, or they might think that that's an actual stained glass term. Okay, now I don't worry too much about staying perfectly on the line, because by going back and forth, you might miss a little bit one way and then miss a little bit the other way, and so by the law of averages, you're hitting it right where you need it. So now what I've done is I've gotten this side of this one. Now, from now on, I can, because I've got straight lines now, I can use a straight edge. This has got a nice cork back, so it sticks right where I need it. Doesn't go sliding all over the place like when I'm doing the bevels now. All right, now I've done all the way around here, and so I can mark 15. That way when I inspect it on the other side, I'll be able to tell that everything's done. So that's it for right now. Okay, now that it's all traced, now here's the critical part. And this is one of the reasons why you put one of the good reasons why you put the nails in. Now you want to roll the pattern back, and also the carbon paper, and then you want to look at it. Okay, now see that? I didn't get that line to come through, so since I haven't moved it, I can put it back. Which one is it? Okay, so this line now what I do. Now we can do it on the same thing on the other side. Oh, so I've missed it here. So just those two. And I think it was the... Okay, so this is the one we'll be building this one on. These are my pattern pieces, ready to be cut out. Now here's the thing that'll be interesting. You know, I'm going to do a second one. The only thing that gets changed is this outside edge, so that it'll just fit just right. And so all of these center pieces will be cut for this one and for the next one. Only the outside edges will be changed. Okay. And that is the instruction on how to do it all, excuse me, do it all by hand. You know, when we started with stained glass, we did it all by hand. All of the patterns that we drew were by hand. And then we eventually got over to where we were doing them on the computer. Well, this is really a tried and true method, and we do it quite often, even today. It's really nice to have it on the computer because you can reprint it. But anyhow, that's how we do it. And the next thing I'll do is, you know, cut all of it out, and then I'll trace them and cut them. But that's this for this particular instruction. Thanks for being with us.